They brought him into the chamber in chains that were meant to rattle, meant to sing the song of submission. His bare feet scraped against the metal floor, blood smearing a path the guards didn't even bother to notice. To them, this was ceremony, not transport. A spectacle for the sovereign court of Yk. The gallery above filled with voices like grinding stone. Alien throats clicking, trilling, hissing, each syllable a verdict before the trial even began. They weren't here to judge him. They were here to enjoy him. One of the magistrates leaned forward, its chitin glistening under the cold white lights. The human bleeds easily. How disappointing. Such fragile creatures. They should have been extinct the moment they were found. A ripple of cruel amusement spread through the tears. He said nothing. The silence wasn't defiance, not yet. It was emptiness. The guards shoved him forward, forcing him to his knees at the center of the arena. The executioner's instruments descended on mechanical arms, spines, hooks, needles. A theater of pain. He knew what this was, not interrogation, not punishment, but demonstration. The Yk broke captives until they screamed. The sound was catalogued, shared, repeated in training camps as proof of their supremacy. He lifted his head just enough to see the circle of faces above him. So many eyes, multifaceted and burning with hunger for fear. He gave them nothing. The first needle drove into his side. His body jerked, muscles locking, but his lips stayed closed. The machine registered his vitals spiking, pain flooding his nerves. The magistrate cocked its head. He withholds sound. Curious. Perhaps they require motivation. The second hook pierced deeper, scraping bone. His jaw clenched so hard blood seeped between his teeth, but still nothing. Now the gallery murmured. This was wrong. Humans were supposed to break fast. Thin skin. Brittle bones. Poor nerves. They screamed the loudest. Always. Minutes became an hour. Instruments probed, tore, burned. His body convulsed, drenched in sweat and blood. His silence thickened the air until even the audience fell quiet, waiting for the inevitable cry. But it didn't come. The executioner recalibrated, increasing intensity. His heart thrashed against his ribs, but his eyes, red-rimmed, hollow, stayed fixed on the magistrates. They expected agony. They got endurance. They expected begging. They got defiance. One of the younger Yk hissed, voice cracking through the hush, "Why won't it scream?" The magistrate didn't answer. For the first time, there was no easy explanation. No laughter. Only the sound of his breath, ragged but steady, filling the hall like thunder in a void. The executioner reached maximum output. Spikes tore through muscle, shocks blistered skin, flames licked his nerves raw. His back arched, every fiber of him straining to tear apart. A sound rose in his throat, raw, guttural. The audience leaned forward, hunger rekindled. But when it broke free, it wasn't a scream. It was a laugh. Cracked, broken, smeared with blood. The gallery recoiled as if struck. That sound wasn't supposed to exist here. Not in this chamber. Not under their power. The magistrate's mandibles trembled. "What are you?" His smile was a ruin, teeth stained red, voice barely more than a whisper. "You'll find out." and then the lights went out. The chamber plunged into black. The audience shifted, insectal limbs scraping, mandibles chittering uneasily. The Ykathale were never without control, never without sight. Their hives were lit by sterile radiance, order etched into every corner. Darkness was not their element, it was intrusion. A low hum filled the arena, not mechanical, not deliberate. Emergency circuits failed to trigger. The magistrate's eyes pulsed with faint bioluminescence, casting jagged shards of color across the floor. Shapes loomed, strange and distorted. And in the middle of it, still chained, still bloodied, the human remained upright. They thought he'd collapse without restraint of light. Instead, he breathed slower. Kamar. The magistrate's voice grated through the silence. Contain him. Now. Guards surged forward, claws clanging, but the shadows swallowed them. Metal struck stone. A cry echoed, sharp, short, cut off. When the bioluminescent glow caught up, one of the guards lay crumpled. His armor caved inward, his chest cavity split. Impossible. The human's chains clattered, but his arms had not moved. He couldn't have. The gallery leaned forward, the thrill of spectacle replaced by unease. Something was happening they hadn't scripted. Another guard lunged. The human tilted his head, eyes gleaming faint in the scattered glow. The guard froze mid-step. Muscles twitched. Then his weapon slipped from nerveless hands as blood poured from his mandibles. He collapsed, twitching, lifeless. The Ykathale hissed in confusion. There were no visible weapons, no tricks. Only the man, bloodied, smiling faintly through split lips. The magistrate's tone shifted, brittle. This is not possible. The subject is incapacitated. The subject. Not the man. Never a man, in their eyes. But he was more than that now. He was something they couldn't name. He rose slowly, chains dragging, shoulders hunched. Every motion screamed exhaustion, but each step carried weight, a rhythm that rattled the gallery more than any weapon. The youngest of the magistrates broke the tension. It feeds on pain. The word stuck in the chamber like a toxin. No one countered. No one laughed. The human's laugh came again, hoarse, torn from ruined lungs, but still a laugh. You wanted a scream. This is all you get. He yanked once at the chains. Steel links groaned. Twice. Cracks split the restraints. On the third pull, with a spray of sparks, the shackles broke. His arms hung loose, trembling, muscles shredded yet still obeying. The audience shifted back. Predators, all of them. For the first time, they moved like prey. The magistrate hissed in order to withdraw, but the arena doors refused to respond. Emergency systems dead. No exits. No control. Just him. And he kept walking. The executioner unit retracted its instruments, realigning with lethal intent. Blades whirred, plasma coils ignited. It descended like a hunting beast, precision engineered to end resistance. He didn't run. He didn't dodge. He waited, letting it strike. Blades tore into him, cutting deep. His body convulsed, blood spraying across the chamber floor. Still, he stood. The audience shrieked in disbelief, a rising tide of insectal horror. The machine stabbed again. And again. Each strike landed. Each wound carved deeper. He stayed upright. He stayed smiling. When his eyes lifted back toward the gallery, glowing faint in the scattered light, they realized something terrible. He wasn't enduring the pain. He was using it. The executioner's blades dripped red, steaming as they retracted, but the human still stood. His body was torn open in half a dozen places, skin seared, bone glimpsed through ragged wounds. By all laws of biology, he should have fallen. The Ycathale prided themselves on knowing the breaking points of every species they encountered, down to the number of heartbeats before collapse. This one defied every metric. The gallery no longer jeered. Their silence was thick, suffocating, broken only by the hiss of their respirators and the steady drip of human blood onto the metal floor. One of the elders, scarred and heavy with age, rasped from the shadows of the high seat. Pain is transmuted. It strengthens him. The younger magistrates hissed in denial. Impossible. Flesh is finite. Endurance is finite. The mind shatters long before the body. But the evidence stood before them, chains shattered, body trembling, yet still advancing step by deliberate step. The executioner recalibrated. Its arms extended again, tipped with serrated drills. This time, it aimed for the spine. The strike landed with a crack that echoed like thunder. His body jerked violently, nearly split apart. For a heartbeat, the magistrates thought it was done. At last. Then his head rose. His teeth bared in that same wrecked grin. And he whispered through a throat full of blood, harder. A shudder rippled through the gallery. The Ycathale knew warfare, slaughter, dominance. But not this. Not a creature demanding more pain. Not a prey animal that begged to be broken further. The executioner obliged. Again and again, its instruments carved into him, carving chunks of muscle, snapping ribs, puncturing organs. Any other being would be a corpse by now. Yet with every strike, his steps grew heavier, more purposeful. His eyes glowed with something not physical, not measurable. The elder magistrate leaned closer, mandibles trembling. He does not resist pain. He consumes it. That was when the first magistrate, younger and untested, lost composure. Shut it down. End this farce. Its voice cracked high with fear. The command went out, but the machines did not respond. The blackout still held. No failsafe engaged. The arena had become a sealed crucible, predator and prey locked together, rules undone. The human's breathing deepened. Not steady. Not clean. But relentless. Each inhalation sounded like tearing cloth, each exhalation like a furnace blast. He dragged his broken frame forward until he stood directly beneath the magistrate's podium. Blood trailed like a banner behind him. The elder magistrate's multifaceted eyes caught his. For a flicker, the alien felt something unfamiliar coil in its gut. Not contempt. Not hunger. Fear. The human raised one ruined arm, fingers trembling but still curling into a fist. His voice was hoarse, a rasp that cut through the silence. You don't understand, this is what we're made for. Before they could respond, the executioner launched one final assault. Its drills and blades struck downward in a frenzy, stabbing through flesh, pinning him to the ground. The floor shuddered under the force, sparks flying. The audience leaned forward, desperate to see the end. But as the dust cleared, their horror returned. Pinned, torn nearly in half, the human was still moving. His hand tightened around the executioner's arm and the machine screamed. The scream of the executioner was not sound but distortion, its audio arrays twisting into a howl no YK Thale had ever heard. Metal shuddered in his grasp. Circuits flared, hydraulics strained, but the machine could not free itself. Its arms were designed to pierce armor, to shear through bone like parchment. Now, they trembled against a broken human hand. The gallery leaned back, mandibles clattering in disbelief. The human's body was wreckage, blood pooling beneath him, organs failing, spine likely fractured. Yet somehow, impossibly, he forced himself upright while the machine convulsed in his grip. His voice crawled out of his throat like gravel dragged across steel. "You don't get it, do you?" With a sudden heave, he twisted. Metal shrieked, bolts snapped, sparks rained down. The executioner's arm tore free, dangling in his fist like a trophy. The chamber rang with the impossible sound of a human laughing through a mouth full of blood. The machine recalibrated in panic. Yes, panic. Its algorithms surged into overdrive, prioritizing survival. For the first time in its long history of executions, the unit stepped back from its prey. The YK Thale saw it, and their composure fractured. Their perfect predator was retreating. The elder magistrate hissed low. The machine learns fear. The younger one bared its fangs in denial. It cannot. It is programming, nothing more. But denial carried no weight here. Not with the evidence staring them in the face. The human raised the severed arm high and brought it down like a spear, driving it into the machine's torso. Sparks exploded, panels buckled. The executioner spasmed, keened in static, and collapsed in a spray of molten fragments. Silence crashed into the chamber. The human swayed, chest heaving. He was moments from collapse, his body nothing but torn sinew and shattered bone. Any rational being would have fallen. But he dragged one leg forward, then another. His feet slapped wet against the floor, each step marked by blood. He advanced toward the magistrates as though nothing could stop him now, not flesh, not metal, not inevitability. The gallery murmured in a rising storm of unease. This was no longer spectacle. This was infection. The idea of it, of prey refusing to break, was spreading like rot through their ranks. The youngest magistrate lashed out, desperation lacing its voice. It is dying. It cannot last. Hold your ground. But the human smiled. A grotesque, ruinous expression that showed teeth slick with red. That's the point, he whispered. A collective shudder rippled through the arena. Predators who lived by dominance, by breaking the will of others, suddenly found themselves facing something worse than resistance. A creature that welcomed ruin. A creature that drew power from it. The elder magistrate finally gave the order no one thought they would ever hear. Evacuate the chamber. Doors hissed. Locks disengaged. But as the first of the gallery surged toward escape, the lights flared once more, not sterile white this time, but deep crimson. Emergency systems had rebooted at last. Every exit slammed shut. The human raised his head into the glow, chains dangling like trophies, body soaked in gore. His voice rasped, half breath, half curse. Now, you're staying with me. And with that, the doors locked. The crimson lights bathed the chamber in a sickly glow. Shadows crawled across the walls like living things. The magistrates froze at the sound of the locked ceiling, the heavy clang of barriers snapping shut. The gallery of predators had just become a cage. The human stood below them, drenched in his own blood, swaying on legs that should not have held him. Each breath tore through his chest like broken glass. And yet, he smiled. The elder magistrate's voice cracked, low and urgent. "This is contamination. Contain it. Contain. Not kill. Not break." Words chosen carefully, born of fear. Guards rallied, weapons flashing, plasma spears hissing alive. They dropped into the pit around him, mandibles wide, claws extended. The human lifted his ruined fists. Skin hung in ribbons. Bones jutted. Still, he raised them. The first guard lunged. His spear cut into the man's side, puncturing deep. The human didn't cry out. He turned with the blow, grabbed the shaft, and drove his forehead into the alien's mandibles. Bone cracked. The guard staggered, stunned. That was enough. The human ripped the spear free, tore it upward through the alien's throat. Blood sprayed black across the arena. The gallery recoiled. Another guard came from behind. The spear tore through the man's back, jutting out his chest. He gasped, staggered, then turned, still moving, still holding his weapon. He wrenched the spear deeper through his own flesh to drag the alien closer, and with a roar that sounded more like defiance than life, he slammed his skull into the creature's face until it fell twitching. He dropped to one knee, blood pumping freely from wounds no surgeon could close. His head lolled forward. For a heartbeat, the magistrates thought he had finally given out. Then his shoulders shook. Once. Twice. Laughter crawled up from his chest, raw and broken, echoing across the chamber. The guards faltered. This wasn't battle anymore, it was a nightmare. One of the younger magistrates snapped, mandibles clacking in panic. This is not endurance. This is corruption. It cannot be natural. But the elder knew better. It whispered what the others could not face. This is choice. The human rose again, dragging the spear behind him, its point screeching against the floor. Step by step, he moved toward the base of the magistrate's podium. His eyes, fever-bright and unyielding, never left them. The gallery erupted in chaos. Some clawed at the sealed doors. Others screamed for weapons, reinforcements, escape. None came. He reached the wall, slammed the spear into the stone, and used it as a crutch to climb. Blood slicked the surface, smearing handprints like warnings. He pulled himself upward, inch by inch, every motion tearing wounds wider. Yet still he climbed. One of the magistrates shrieked, voice cracking with terror. It cannot reach us, it should not reach us. But he was coming. Halfway up the wall, his body spasmed. His grip faltered. He slid, leaving a trail of blood down the stone. The gallery gasped in relief, perhaps finally, the end. Then his hand clenched again. Fingers broken, skin shredded, he dug them into the wall and hauled himself higher. And higher. Until his ruined face rose level with the podium. His voice rasped like fire through glass. Not high enough. The human's bloodied hands scraped against the podium's edge. The magistrates froze, jaws parting in disbelief. Their empire of control had taught them the limits of life, the predictable dance of prey and predator. None had ever climbed into their domain, none had ever survived the pit below. And yet here he was, half torn apart, each breath a battle, each movement a testament to endurance beyond calculation. The elder magistrate hissed, a sound sharp enough to cut metal. Do you understand what you have become? He grinned through the mess of gore and sweat, eyes blazing with something no predator could process. I am what you forgot. The youngest tried to strike first, hurling a blade tipped with concentrated plasma. The human flinched, not away but into the attack. The blade grazed his shoulder, tearing flesh, yet he seized the arm of the young alien and twisted. A sickening crack echoed as bone shattered. The magistrate stumbled backward, hissing, clutching at the wound. Another magistrate lashed out, claws flashing, aiming for his chest. He absorbed the blow, ribs snapping under the force, yet didn't falter. He raised his fist, broken and trembling, and connected with the alien's mandibles. A metallic crack sounded as jaws snapped shut on nothing but air, leaving the creature stunned and bleeding. The gallery erupted, panicked, shouting in a cacophony of clicks, hisses, and shrieks. Their instruments of order, their armies, their machines, their plans, crumbled under the human who should not have existed. He staggered forward, dragging his injuries like banners of defiance. Blood coated the podium, pooling beneath him as he moved with predatory intent. He wasn't fast. He wasn't clean. He wasn't precise. He was relentless. The elder magistrate barked a command, one last desperate attempt to regain dominance: terminate him. Every unit, every guard, kill him. The doors opened. Reinforcements flooded in, the chamber rattling under the weight of countless claws and armor. Plasma spears hummed. Energy blades hissed. He didn't flinch. He met the first wave head-on, allowing the spears to puncture, letting the blades tear him open. And with every strike, he advanced. With every wound, he moved faster, stronger, unbroken. One by one, the predators fell. The gallery above shrank back, shock giving way to terror. No strategies, no tricks, no firepower could stop him. The elder magistrate screamed, voice hoarse, mandibles trembling. Impossible. This is not a human. He stepped over bodies, each motion slower but more deliberate, dragging blood across the marble floor like a tide of ruin. His eyes never left the elders, never left the one who had thought themselves untouchable. He knelt finally, close enough that the alien could see the chaos reflected in his shattered face, the grin still cruel, still defiant. You measured strength, he rasped, voice raw, but you forgot one thing. He leaned closer, wet with blood, lungs burning. We endure. We persist. And when prey refuses to die, predators learn fear. The chamber froze. Even the reinforcements stopped, waiting, watching, realizing that the apex had shifted. And then he rose. 1 step. 2 steps. His shadow fell across the magistrate's chest. The lights flickered, machines whined, and in that instant, the predator-prey order, unquestioned for eons, snapped. The elder's scream echoed in the red glow, a sound without precedent. And in the silence that followed, he waited, ruined and unstoppable, for the next move. The chamber was quiet now. Not the tense, calculating quiet of predators on display, but a silence carved from disbelief and dread. Even the reinforcements, newly arrived, dared not move. The human had not yet struck again, and still the fear was thick, tangible, hanging in the crimson glow like smoke. The elder magistrate lay sprawled, bleeding from jagged wounds, and yet even he whispered hoarsely through broken mandibles, "It cannot be." The human knelt among the fallen, blood dripping from shredded muscles, chest heaving, arms trembling. He was a ruin of flesh, a skeleton of endurance, yet his eyes burned bright, and his lips curled into the faintest, grotesque grin. He didn't need to attack. The predators were killing themselves with imagination, filling the spaces between them with terror. One of the younger magistrates shivered, a noise like shattered crystal. It's not just pain, it's purpose. It's choice. It welcomes this. The human's laugh cracked the chamber, low and guttural, half roar, half wheeze. It was not a sound of triumph. It was a sound of inevitability. The elder struggled to his knees, claws trembling. "We have rules, laws, predation." The human tilted his head, blood running into his eyes, obscuring them, yet somehow magnifying the intensity of his stare. "You taught me your laws," he rasped. "You wrote them, you measured them, but I am beyond them." A guard whimpered as it realized the truth. Their fear wasn't of death. They understood that death could be counted, catalogued, survived by their systems. But the human wasn't playing by the same rules. He endured beyond calculation. He persisted beyond design. He refused the fundamental assumption that life is fragile, that prey exists to be broken. The gallery above shook. Leaders shouted, mandibles clattering in panic, yet none descended. None could. The human didn't chase them, they understood the danger without being taught. Fear had become infectious, a contagion that even the strongest could not resist. He rose slowly, each motion a testament to ruin and intent. Step by step, he crossed the blood-soaked floor, chains dragging like banners. His broken arms swung loosely, yet each swing implied inevitability. The elder hissed one last command, voice cracking, "Do not let it reach understanding. Destroy it now." The human halted. He tilted his head, hearing their words, seeing the panic ripple across their compound, and for the first time, he smiled fully. Not just through blood or broken teeth, but through an understanding that something had shifted irreversibly. "They already understand," he said softly, almost to himself. "They know the rules no longer apply. They know that I refuse to die. That's all they need." And then he walked toward the central console, toward the devices controlling every door, every lockdown, every fail-safe. The remaining guards froze, torn between instinct and paralysis. The human touched the surface, sparks flaring, systems groaning under the contact. A wave of panic surged through the chamber. Lights flickered violently. Sirens screamed. The Ykathale realized, in terror too pure for speech, that the human could now control their prison as easily as he had endured it. He didn't shout. He didn't strike. He simply stood there, ruined, unstoppable, and waited. And in that silence, the predators finally understood the most dangerous prey in the galaxy was not the fastest, the sharpest, or the strongest. It was the one who refused to scream. The human's hands hovered over the control console, blood-slick and trembling, yet precise. Wires sparked beneath his fingertips, circuits screamed in protest, and the chamber shuddered with the hum of machines awakening under his touch. Every sensor, every door, every energy field, he didn't just reach them, he bent them to his will. The YK Thale shrieked from the gallery above. Stop! It cannot do this. Their fear was a live thing now, crackling in the air. Systems they had designed to dominate, to imprison, to terminate, now obeyed him. Lights blinked erratically. Doors slammed shut. Plasma conduits vented onto the floors. The chamber became chaos incarnate, a storm born of human ruin. The elder magistrate lunged, claws outstretched, but the human didn't flinch. With a gesture, the floor beneath the alien cracked, panels shattering, sending molten metal spraying. The creature stumbled, shrieking, and scrambled backward. Each motion the human made was slow, deliberate, measured in the rhythm of endurance. Blood ran down his arms, dripping onto the console, yet his eyes never left the gallery. Every pulse of electricity, every spark, every mechanical failure seemed to answer him, obey him, amplify him. The gallery panicked. Machines that were once the pinnacle of predatory technology faltered under his touch. Automated weapons flared, then shut down. Security systems overloaded, sending sparks and alarms cascading into confusion. The predators realized too late they had built their own prison, their own undoing. The humans' laughter echoed, ragged and guttural, bouncing off the walls in cruel symmetry. You thought you were gods of control, he rasped. But control isn't power. Persistence is. Pain is fuel. Fear is a lesson. And I've learned it all better than you. One young magistrate tried to flee, diving for an exit that no longer existed. A trapdoor opened beneath its feet, hurling it into a containment pit. Sparks danced across the walls, reflecting in his horrified eyes before the darkness claimed him. The elder hissed, voice trembling. This cannot be undone. The human, it is beyond everything we know. It's. A surge of energy shot through the room as the human pressed his ruined hands down again. Doors sealed, energy fields flared. Machines began attacking their own operators, as if guided by the human's will. A sound like grinding metal and screams filled the chamber. Chaos ruled. Predators turned on each other, confusion and fear driving their claws and mandibles. The human took a step back, breathing ragged, wounds gaping, but unbroken. Every inch of his ruined body was a testament to defiance. And yet, he was calm. Silent, almost. Watching them tear themselves apart under the logic of his endurance, under the inevitability of his presence. He didn't raise his fists. He didn't need to. The predators had learned to fear him without another strike. Their own machines had become their enemy. Their systems, designed to control, now obeyed a single, ruined human. The elder magistrate's shriek rose above the chaos. It cannot stop. The hive cannot be saved. The human's lips curled into a faint smile, blood streaking his face. Oh, he whispered, voice hoarse and raw, it's only just beginning. And the lights surged, red and white, flashing in every corridor. The chamber was alive with the fury of his endurance. And above, the gallery knew it, the hunter had become the hunted. The gallery trembled. The remaining magistrates, hive shells cracked and mandibles trembling, realized the apex of their world had shifted. The human stood at the heart of the chamber, ruined, bloodied, broken, but alive, unstoppable, and unrelenting. Every step he took echoed like thunder against the cold metal floors. The elder hissed, desperation sharpening every word. We've ruled by strength, by precision, by terror, and yet here we are, undone by one that should be fragile. The youngest tried a leap from the podium, claws extended, energy spears humming, but before he could strike, the human twisted on the marble floor, dragging a fallen console with him. Sparks flew, electricity arcing across the chamber. The alien was thrown back, shrieking, its limbs skidding across molten metal. The predators realized in horror, the human did not attack in conventional ways. He didn't fight like them. He refused their logic of speed and claws. He fought like a force of inevitability, a storm of endurance, a manifestation of suffering turned into power. One magistrate screamed, voice fracturing, "It absorbs pain, it thrives on destruction." Another lunged with a serrated blade, aiming for the chest. The human's eyes, burning with fever-bright clarity, caught the movement. He didn't dodge. The blade plunged deep, but he twisted through agony, using the momentum to slam the alien into the ground. Bones snapped. The gallery gasped. Each attack was a lesson. The human did not flinch, did not scream, did not falter. Every wound only sharpened his focus, heightened his presence. Pain became weapon, fear became armor, endurance became dominance. The elder tried to command a retreat, but even their exit was controlled by the human now. Doors slammed, corridors lit with molten energy, and reinforcements from distant wings of the hive were trapped, screaming as systems turned against them. He advanced slowly toward the remaining magistrates, each step punctuated by the thrum of machines obeying his ruined will. The gallery recoiled. Their calculations, their experience, their hubris, none of it applied anymore. "Do you understand now?" he rasped, voice ragged but piercing. "This is what you missed. This is why you underestimate us. This is what humanity does." They realized the inevitable too late. Their weapons misfired, instruments faltered, machines hissed in panic. Their empire of control unraveled from within. Fear, raw and unmeasured, poured through their ranks like molten metal. The human raised his ruined fists. His movements were slow, deliberate, yet unstoppable. A step. A swing. A knock of broken bone against exoskeleton. Each predator fell, some to blood, some to fear, some to their own systems turned traitor. The elder hobbled backward, mandibles trembling, eyes wide. "It cannot end, it cannot end." The human's chest heaved, blood dripping from gashes that should have killed him. Yet he smiled through the wreckage of his body, through the ruin of every assumption they had ever held. "You're right," he rasped. "It doesn't end. Not for me. Not for us." And then, with a guttural, almost mythical laugh, he stepped over the last of the predators, standing amidst ruin and chaos. Machines burned, fires reflected in the crimson glow, and the gallery, once proud and untouchable, was silent, shattered, and obedient only to the persistence of one human who refused to die. And in that silence, they understood fully for the first time. Prey had become predator. The chamber burned. Sparks rained from overhead conduits, molten metal hissed on the floor, and crimson lights flickered like the heartbeat of a dying god. Every predator in the gallery, every machine designed to dominate, every system built to imprison, had fallen or been bent to his will. And through it all, the human stood ruined, bleeding, shattered, yet impossibly upright. He surveyed the wreckage, chest rising and falling with ragged rhythm, eyes bright with a fire that no wound could extinguish. The predators had assumed superiority. They had assumed fragility. They had assumed control. and all assumptions lay in ruin around him. The elder magistrate lay half collapsed, limbs splayed, armor torn. Its mandibles quivered, struggling to form words. You are not human." He laughed. A low, broken sound that echoed through the chamber like rolling thunder. "I am human," he rasped, voice raw from blood and endurance, "and this is what that means." The remaining guards, trembling, realized the truth they had feared all along. This was no longer a contest of strength, of claws or speed. This was a contest of will. Of persistence. Of refusal to break. And he had won not because he was invincible, but because he refused to surrender. Every machine that had sought to pierce him, every blade, every drill, every instrument of pain, had become a testament to his endurance. Every wound, every shattered bone, every gash across his skin had fed him rather than destroyed him. Pain was no weakness. It was fuel. Fear no weapon. It was a lesson. He stepped forward through the ruins, dragging shattered chains, crimson staining the floors like rivers of defiance. The gallery watched in disbelief as he walked, not fast, not precise, but inexorable. Step by step, he claimed the space. Step by step, the predators realized their dominance had never mattered. The elder rasped again, voice cracking with terror. "You have broken everything we believed." He stopped, chest heaving, and bent low to the elder's level. Broken teeth gleamed red. Blood ran down his face, yet his gaze was steady, unyielding. "You believed we could be tamed," he whispered. "You believed pain would make us beg. You believed fragility defined us. You were wrong." He rose again, tall in ruin and endurance. The machines groaned, systems sparked and died, doors remained sealed, and the predator's instincts had finally failed. They had learned the hardest lesson: prey that refuses to die can teach fear even to gods. The human's gaze swept the chamber, a mythic figure etched in blood and ruin. He did not raise a weapon. He did not strike again. His victory was in persistence, in survival, in the unbroken will of flesh that should have fallen but did not. Silence followed. Not the silence of submission, but the silence of awe, terror, and recognition. The predators understood, too late, that the galaxy had changed. That humanity, fragile and underestimated, refused to yield. And in that silence, amidst ruin and molten metal, he lifted his ruined fists once more. Not for battle. Not for pain. Not for vengeance. But for the simple truth that no predator, no matter how ancient, could erase. Humanity survives. Humanity endures. Humanity stands unbroken. And the predators learned to fear what they had never thought they would: a man who would not scream. Don't just watch, witness humanity refuse to break. Hit subscribe and stay for every moment of endurance that the galaxy never saw coming.